Let's talk about the story that was dominating yesterday, shall we? The World Cup ticket prices for 2026. Next year, supporters face paying thousands of pounds for the cheapest ticket to get to the finals, coming in at £3,000.
I know.
That's wild. Fans group Football Supporters Europe have said it's astonished by FIFA's extortionate pricing strategy and called for ticket sales to be halted immediately. So prices for the final are set in three tiers. The supporter value is coming in at £3,119. Supporter standard tier is £4,162. And then the premium tier is £6,615. So really just set for people who have got cash to play with and burn with, not set for, supporters who already pay absolutely everything, make ends meet to follow their team wherever they can go. They're 7 times more expensive, these tickets, than the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, with the lowest ticket at that event costing £450. So you're up 7 times. That's just absolutely wild, isn't it,
Yeah.
Chris?
Well, football isn't the only sport that's been doing this. I mean, if you go to the golf shebang and the Masters, if you want to go to the Masters and see the practice day and then day one and day two, you can easily get to $30,000.
Yeah.
To go and see. So it's not the only sport that is guilty of this incredible. And look, concerts doing it all the time, aren't they? Oasis was one of the big ones that there was lots of, people adding on fees and whatever cost to go and get a ticket or just getting one.
Money. FIFA had mentioned that in a statement yesterday, they'd had 5 million ticket requests in a 24-hour period over 200 countries. So almost as if, well, if we're getting the requests, we're going to keep the prices the way they are. But it doesn't mean that there's not rich people who are still willing to pay this money or who are well off and wealthy and can afford this. But you almost feel for those who are planning to go. But these prices, I mean, nobody saw this price.
No, it's becoming
£3,000 for a final.
Yeah, it's becoming insane. And hopefully there's a line in the sand somewhere along the way because, going back to America in '94 when fans and lots of fans went there and they could afford it.
Yeah.
'94 was affordable at that particular time. It would have still come at some sort of cost, but not costs that are absolutely, just level. It's insanity really hearing some of the numbers.
So we don't expect these ticket prices to change, but maybe you could save a little deal and have a little deal somewhere when it comes to your flights or hotels and accommodation and things like that. Somebody who we can speak to now is a tourism expert, Anita Menderata, to get her advice. Good morning, Anita. How are you?
Anita.
I'm grand. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Anita, I wanted to ask you first of all, because obviously if you're looking at costs and, as Shaban said, saving money, does that mean if you fly to America or Mexico or Canada, you've got to go to 3 different places before you get there to make it way cheaper?
I think you raised a really important point because in addition to the fact that the FIFA World Cup tickets are incredibly expensive this year, exactly as you said, 7 times the last World Cup, we're looking at the largest World Cup in the world in terms of the physical geography. There's 8,000 kilometers across the entire triangle of Mexico, Canada, and the US. So that's putting huge pressure on not only people getting to the World Cup, but also moving around the World Cup during the times in between, because as we've seen equally here in South Africa, I'm currently in Cape Town, was blessed to be here during 2010. During the game periods, we have that week in between, or 3-4 days, where people are allowed to move around the host countries. That's additional cost and time pressure. So this is turning into a very, very heavy calculation for anyone looking at joining the World Cup in 2026.
It's one of those ones as well where, had we mentioned the amount of money that people have to spend when they go there and they're travelling and whatnot. Anita, are we expecting to see the hotels then go up in price as well, or can people save in any way?
Sadly, there's a natural opportunism that kicks in, both in terms of hotels and in airlines, and even at attractions in between. So we're hoping that what's going to happen is that the restraint is held, because what ends up happening is that when there is that price gouging that takes place during any mega event, whether it's an Expo, World Cup, or an Olympics, it ends up doing significant reputational damage to the destination. So any destination needs to be very, very careful. Also bearing in mind, this is the start of the summer season for North America. So people are putting a lot of their travel money for the summer holidays into the FIFA World Cup in 2026. We don't want any of those three countries being accused of taking advantage of all of the excitement around the beautiful game and the fact that people have holiday time off. Interestingly, though, what it will do is potentially shift travelers from focusing on the US matches to Mexico being a soft currency and Canada being much less in terms of the relative US dollar to Canadian dollar value. So it might actually allow for dispersion.
So is it possible that we've seen this before? We've seen it in golf happen, where last minute you actually a lot of cheap deals become available.
It is possible. Is it probable? I'm not sure, because we know that there's firstly those first and second tier tickets. Much of that will go to hospitality. So those are the corporate hospitality packages, etc. And those will be bought up immediately. And those will include normally accommodation as well as potentially air. The third and fourth tier tickets, sadly, those usually get bought up in bulk by ticketing agencies and resold. So the heartbreak is that the supporters of the beautiful game, the really passionate football fans, they're not going to be able to afford the tickets because they're not even buying at face value. Add on top of that the travel costs, as we've been saying.
And he says it's only going to get worse. I mean, seeing this ticket price now for this World Cup, does it get better from here, or is it only going to get more expensive as the years go on?
I think people are sensitizing to the fact that this is a potential reality that's going to start taking place. As soon as you hear the term dynamic pricing, whether it's with concert tickets, FIFA World Cup tickets, whatever it is, it's really about supply and demand. And we know that in a situation like this, the demand is massive. This is where controls need to be put in place. And authorities like FIFA, they're the ones who are going to suffer reputationally as well. So it's about really putting our foot down and recognizing this is just wrong for the game.
So you would advise then that a fan kind of protest or revolt would almost help put that pressure on FIFA to make changes?
I'd be careful about the words protest and revolt. I work in diplomacy, so I would not encourage.
My bad. We work in football.
I will not be quoted on that. Fair play, fair play.
The word gouging that has come sort of around in the last sort of 5 to 10 years has seemed commonplace nearly everywhere, from concerts to sporting events. Gouging seems to be a very profitable way of making money very, very quickly.
It's profitable, but it shouldn't be acceptable. And I think this is where, again, we need to stop the behavior and let people recognize this is just not on. What's really sad as well is that often when you look into the stadiums and you see those tier one tickets, the seats are so often empty because, again, they're bought for hospitality, they're bought for VIPs, and there's no shows. So ultimately, and it happened to us quite honestly here in the Portugal-North Korea match when we were at the 2010 games, we just moved down because ultimately the seats were sitting empty. So it's just unfair because there's the anticipation of going to the matches, huge anticipation around the FIFA World Cup. And this is supposed to be in many ways, the church, the mecca of football. And you just don't want the religion of football and the blessing of football to be tarnished.
Another conversation we quite often have here, Anita, is about social media abuse towards players and clubs and whatever like that. Is it true that the US board have now put I've kind of an implement in place that they're going to check your social media history before letting you into the country?
That is a comment that is being passed around very actively. It is a worry that started up many months ago in principle, quite honestly, when I was in Canada back in June visiting family. There's concern with people crossing the borders. So I think, again, it's a deterrent. It's a deterrent of being invited to be a part of one of the most important sporting and events in the world. People just don't want to feel that they're being followed by their technology, by their credit cards, whatever it might be.
Okay, Anita Mendarasa, thank you so much for your expertise this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Anita.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
take care.
Great
Take
stuff.
care of yourself.
Amazing, isn't it? I was looking and I was chatting with Sam, our producer, with the revenues that have been created by FIFA, Shaban, from 2002, we're talking revenues, it was 1.6 billion for FIFA, obviously. There's profits, which will be a slice of that amount. But it's gone up like from 2010, 4.2 billion. By 2018, 6.4 billion. And now they're looking at the US, 11 billion revenue. So it's literally nearly doubled in the last 4 years. And obviously profits are way bigger. You know, the cost of World Cup now is just exploded of how much money's being generated.
And they'll say that they're putting this money into growing the game.
Well, I don't know. I saw the ceremony. There's a few people there that get paid quite a lot of money.
I agree.
To go. So, and fair play to them. You know, watching Rio do his gig on stage, and I'm sure he was well looked after, and fair play to him, you know, if he can get the money from FIFA.
Yeah.
But they're certainly making shed loads of money.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say something else
No.
there. I was like, well, Cass, well...
No, shed loads.
Shed loads of money. You're listening to The Weekend Breakfast on talkSPORT. Coming up next, we're going to look ahead to Chelsea against Everton at 3 o'clock today. We've got Chelsea fan and TikToker Jack Barnes with us next.